And shaboom! I'm live. Hello. Welcome to yet another weekly batch analysis. So this week I only have four trades that I actually took, but there's quite a few trades that I did not take, unfortunately. There was one day where I slept in because I had a horrible night and I couldn't sleep, and I really, really hate to not just trade, but generally live tired. It's just not cool. I don't enjoy it. So I decided to sleep in. I did check the markets very early in the morning. Actually, did I? I'm not fully sure. I just know that I got my alarm at 9 o'clock, but I was like, nah, fuck this. I'm gonna sleep some more. And unfortunately, I missed some amazing trades. I think I missed like five trades, and three of those were wins. And that's a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. I cannot really do anything about that. It's just unlucky because I don't get to choose what the distributions of wins and losses is gonna be. It might have just as well been that these four trades that I actually took, which all ended up being break evens, could have been the wins, and then I would miss out on break evens or losses. I just cannot affect it. What matters is my system itself, and what matters is the fact that my system does capture these wins, and it does reduce my downside a lot when, well, in all other cases, right? So without further ado, let's just go into the trades. I have quite a few here, so not as much as last week. Last week was fucking crazy, but of course I didn't take many of those trades either. Instead, yeah. Also, I think I missed out on a single day when UJ was trading. I think it was also a Thursday, and instead of plus 17, I ended up minus 1.4. It's going to be very, very similar this week, I think. But it's okay. It's okay. It's all on forward test. Anyway, so last week I followed momentum well. That has been the case recently quite a bit. I feel like my system is so beautifully refined these days that it really, really allows me to capture these moves because I only get involved when there is great momentum in great context. And I managed perfectly. Great. So what went bad was that I traded a C stage one. That was, yeah, that was optimism as a crypto. I remember that, and I don't think this is ever going to happen to me again. And if it does, I'm just going to write it here and, remind myself. But yeah, that was a silly mistake. I only checked the E and the V and didn't check the C, and that's why I ended up trading that. I traded an inconsistent market. Yeah, it was actually two mistakes in one on that same trade. Although this is huge strength, right? It looks very inconsistent. I just didn't like it. It's ugly. I traded a V stage one. Yeah, that was a UJ trade. It was a little bit too early. Like, yeah, that's just. I was arguing that this little thingy over here was a strong enough breakout to follow, but actually I think it was very, very weak. So if anything, it should have been something like that. Then I would have traded it. And a few stage twos could have been stronger. All right. So, with all of that being said, my weekly focus was to spend more time on my watch list. Yes, I have been doing that every single day. Instead of like going through it super, super quickly, I spent a little bit more time just to make sure and double check everything, whether that asset I'm looking at is something that I want to put on my watch list or not. So I've been good with that. Do not trade stage one and C. Yep, that's a big one. Do not trade inconsistent markets. Focus on strong stage twos and track markets well. Yep, that has been my focus. I'm gonna go into my new Notion here into week 32. So I think I have the same stuff here. I also added a little bit of stuff here. Check news first thing in the morning. I just figured, hey, since I'm gonna have this on my eyes every single time, uh, I might as well write that in here because that's gonna stay relevant for the rest of my life. And focus on the rules, not the R. Yes, that's also the name of today's batch analysis pretty much because what I'm gonna, as always, evaluate myself on is not necessarily the result, it's the rules. Did I follow the rules or not? That's going to be extremely important to me because in the end, that's really what matters. So let's get into it. So first trade is over here. Actually, let's start over here. So it's on Monday. So I started doing this. I have like everything filtered day by day when I go through the batch analysis, and I can see what I did on certain days. So on Monday, I can see that there were no trades taken. Markets were in quite bad context, and only thing I watched was Euro JPY over here. Yeah, makes absolute sense. I mean, there's some kind of downtrend here or whatnot. Strong stage two, right? Breaks down for a reaccumulation. Then over here has some stage one or whatnot. Breaks higher, pulls back, creates a stage one, and breaks higher yet again, confirming a reaccumulation. So yeah, this was a good context to watch on the low time frame. And I watched four entries, but I didn't get anything. So makes sense. Tuesday, everything was kind of trash on Tuesday also. I didn't follow any markets and I didn't take any trades. Yeah, didn't even follow anything, so no screenshot here. And then we come into Wednesday. So Wednesday, first trade, August 6th, 2025, and I think that's over here, right? It's a Euro USD trade. Yep, at 1501. Really? Really, really? I mean, or did I just add that later? I'm not entirely sure. Let me check. This is something I didn't take. Did I not include that for some reason? I mean, this is a B from below. Ooh, I didn't include that. Okay. Well, you know what that means. I need to include it. So let's do that real quick. Doot, 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 doot. So yeah, this is how I'm gonna do it. So let's include it. This is a Euro USD trade. It ended up being what? A break even. And the date, when was this taken, is, well, it's on Wednesday, and the time is around 12:40 something, 41, 42. Yeah, 12:42 maybe. So Wednesday, 12:42. Okay, and tut, tut, tut. Cool. I will need to also go into TradingView and find that. So it's a Euro USD trade. Sorry about that, by the way. I didn't expect that, but it's all right. So Wednesday, yeah, somewhere around here, 12:42. Okay, so let me just see where that was. Okay. Oh, it was this one. Ah, I remember. I remember. It was this one. And it was a little bit questionable, actually. I think that's why I didn't quite include it. I don't think I was supposed to trade this. Uh, okay, let's go into the entry itself, which would be over here. So yeah, makes sense. So I'm gonna go higher by 22, and that would be 110 in that case. And let's just see how I would have managed this, because I need to include that. Okay, blah blah blah. I think this would be a actually not quite yet. I wouldn't break even just yet. I think. I mean, I wouldn't close the trade. Maybe I would actually like. Mm, yeah, I mean, if it goes on for a little bit longer. Oh, okay, okay, cool, cool. So here we go. I wouldn't reduce risk just yet. I would reduce risk. Yes, now, now. This is it. This is when I would break even. So, boom. Let's do that. Go here. Risk free. Right, and let's see what happens. I think this comes back to break even, right? Yeah. Man, so close to winning as well. Too bad. All right, yeah, that comes back to break even. Cool. B. All right, and I think I did not take this trade, right? Just making sure. Yep, I did not take this trade. And why did I not take it? I actually don't know. I think it just didn't look quite good. Uh, something about it that I did not like. I'm not fully sure. Should have filled that in, but it's whatever. Okay, so let's go into it. I can now jump into Miro over here and let's analyze this trade. So, Euro USD, we have some kind of uptrend over here, then it breaks down, right? Probably reaccumulation. I'm not sure, doesn't really matter. But here, big, strong momentum comes in and here starts going sideways. I'm not really looking for any trades here whatsoever, but if price starts breaking out of here, I would be interested because that would be a confirmed reaccumulation and a new trend direction. Previous stage 2 is very strong, so of course I would be happy to take it. And here we can see some kind of stage 1 and a breakout on big momentum and a pullback into the rising 1020. Perfect area to trade. And here we can see, okay, so this is probably like this whole thing is a stage 1, and then all of a sudden it starts going higher, flushes out, loses the EMAs, loses the momentum cycle, and here of course we're going to have MB1 and MB2. This would most likely be a 1-minute entry. So let me just see, let me mark up the MBs. So I would say this is MB1. Boop. All right, this is MB1, and in that case, this would be MB2. It's not too bad. It's pretty decent, I would say. Yeah, this is all right. It's a bit smaller, but it's still all right. Like, it's not insanely smaller where I would say that these are not proportional. I would say these are proportional. So if I look at the entry, it seems like it's a little bit too early, almost. Maybe that's why I didn't take it. But like, the MB1 validation was very strong. The flush was nice. The previous stage 2 was nice. All of this made sense. Actually, I think this was a completely fine trade, and I probably could have traded it. It wasn't a 10-second trade, but just looking at the 10-second, like this is a very nice flagging pullback, like nothing crazy, no crazy sell-off. This looks like a completely fine reaccumulation. Yeah, this looks fine. I should have taken this. Should have taken that. So I didn't take. I should have taken, and that ends up being a break even. Okay, so let's label it up first. Okay. So what am I gonna say here? Confirmed, react. I'm gonna say that. And I'm gonna say good momentum. Cool. Here we're gonna have a stage 1 breakout. And we're gonna have good momentum. And this is a 1-minute entry. And I would say, honestly, I would say it's a perfect entry. Perfect entry, and overall that means that this trade was perfect. So let's go over here. Why didn't take? No idea, but actually the decision, I did not take it and it was a mistake. So overall, I will rate this as a mistake. I included this new property here. I wanted to have some kind of thing to make it more elegant with the didn't take, should have taken, blah, blah, blah. So I just came up with this. And what this means pretty much is I have this little info here. I don't know why I cannot click it though. Maybe I can just hover over it. Ah, yeah, okay. So plus means that the trade, taking the trade was the right decision. Plus minus means taking the trade was the wrong decision. Minus plus means that not taking the trade was the right decision. And minus means not taking the trade was the wrong decision. So in this case, not taking the trade was the wrong decision. I was actually supposed to take this, and I didn't. I have no idea why though. Maybe there's a comment here. No, there isn't because I didn't fill it in. So yeah, that's the first trade. Should have taken. Too bad. Moving on. So that's the first trade. Now we have another trade on Euro USD. Been stalking this all day, and now it looks ripe. All right, so let's take a look. So what happened? Yeah, so we broke out above here quite a bit. So the previous trade was taken inside of here, right? And that went higher and eventually came back into, so broke into a new high, came back into the demand zone, bounced from here and continued higher with big momentum. So here we can see probably some kind of stage 1, bounce off of the demand zone, very nice, like trend structure is still intact, looks bullish, MMB1, MMB2, right? And here the MMB2 pulls back into the rising 1020, So let's see how that looks on the 10 seconds. So first of all, this stage 2 looks beautiful. Big momentum cycle above the EMAs, pops, right? Lots of inefficiency, big chunky candles, small candles in the opposite side, all showing amazing strength. And then it pulls back and it reaccumulates, loses its momentum cycle in a very nice, healthy way, in a consistent way. That's exactly what I want to see. And then I'm just looking for reignition. I'm looking for demand to come in again. Here it comes in and it pulls back a tiny little bit. This is perfect. This is a beautiful, beautiful trade. And here, what do? I get tapped in and it starts going sideways. And at some point, I started also paying attention and like creating a data point of when do I set my TP to 0. Setting my TP to 0 means that I'm trying to get out of this at break even. And pretty much after it loses its momentum cycle, I think. Let's take a look. Yeah, it loses its momentum cycle over here. Jesus Christ, can I please plus? So slow. Okay, there we go. Loses its momentum cycle and has been going sideways for quite some time already. You can see that the MB1 over here is quite small. Like the MB2 has become unproportionally big compared to MB1. So at this point, it's going sideways for way too long, and I'm trying to get out for a break even, and it actually allows me to get out. So this ends up being a break even. So I would say this was absolutely perfect from the technical side all the way to the management side. So I do love this. So here I'm gonna say good momentum. Here I'm gonna say whoa 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 whoa. Here I'm gonna say good momentum as well. Same here. And this entry was absolutely perfect. So overall, this was a perfect trade. And the management was perfect as well. So very nice. Ooh, actually, I'm just gonna go back real quick, and so I should have taken all of this. I forgot to mark up this thing, this stuff. This was a good entry. 10 second was irrelevant. This was a perfect management. Cool. So now I'm coming back in here. Here everything was absolutely perfect as well. Very nice. And yep, this was a perfect trade, and I did take it, and it was the right decision. Cool. So there we go. And yeah, I mean, I also have to tag it as perfect. All right, moving on to the next trade. So all day, this is 4 trades on Euro USD. Everything is Euro USD trade. So rules is rules I must take. All right. All right. So let's see what happened over here. I can just compare the 1 minute, I guess. Okay. So we're in the exact same area. Previously, I took a trade over here on the 10 second. That couldn't quite go, but here we didn't even liquidate the floating supply yet. Instead, we came back to the demand zone over here, and from here, we popped. So we have MB1 over here, and this would be a tiny little MB2. So let me just mark up the MBs. So this is MB1, and this is MB2. All right, this is a little bit iffy, I would say. I would have loved to see a bit of a bigger pullback, but I understand what I'm doing here. I mean, yeah, I would have loved to see a tiny bit more of a pullback. Actually, there ends up being a bit more than that, right? Let me see. Like, I get tapped in. Okay, so there's like a few more candles after that. I just took the screenshot a little bit too early, I guess. Yeah. This looks fine. This looks fine because if I mark up the MBs over here, this is MB1 and this over here is MB2. And yeah, this is all right. This is okay. This is okay. So what do I do here in regards to management? So here I write I reduce risk. I reduce risk here this early because the floating supply got licked. At this point, I want to see price go. I don't want to have any risk on anymore. I see. So normally I wait for a little bit more strength or I wait for a pullback and a break above, right? But here, because we just liquidated the range high, at this point, like if this is just a liquidity grab, I don't want to have any risk on anymore. So that's why I reduced risk here. And I think that that was a perfect decision. And what happens, I get risk-free pretty much after, yeah, here it liquidates the high. So I'm reducing risk twice, I guess. And here, yeah, there's just not enough juice and it comes back to break even. So overall, I think this was perfect. Like all the way from the analysis to the management. I really like that a lot. So yeah, labeling that up. Good momentum here. Very good momentum here. Very good momentum over here. And I would say this was it perfect or was it good? I'm gonna call it good. Good entry. Perfect. Well, maybe it is perfect. I'm not entirely sure. Like, bruh. Maybe like I would like to see a little bit more of a pullback just to make it a bit more proportional. But overall, I think this was very good. So I'm gonna call this trade good. Good. Okay. So good trade. All of this was nice, and the entry was good as well. Management was perfect, and yeah, that's great. And it was good because why? Something regarding entry. Well, I'm just gonna say questionable entry, and in that case, I'm gonna change this to questionable entry as well. Okay. So the decision was I took this trade, and it was the right decision. Cool. Okay, and moving on to the last trade of that day. That's also an EU trade. And what has changed? So let me see. All right, what has changed is that on the 6 minute here we were trading quite high, but I thought that was all right because the momentum cycle was MB1, MB2 over here, right? There was still room to go higher, but here we break down. This stage 2 is absolutely beautiful, very strong. So of course I'm going to be looking for an entry. On the 6 minute we pull back into the rising 1020, perfect area to trade. So this is a 1 minute entry, and this is the entry itself. So by the way, this is a 1 minute entry. Just gonna add that in, and I think this looks beautiful, honestly. This double MB is so nice. So let me just mark up the MBs. I would say, yeah, I can just mark up this. That's MB1. This is MB2. Yep, that looks very nice. And management-wise, what did I do here? Okay, I get tapped in, and on these two candles already I reduced my risk, and that comes in very soon after and taps me out for a break even. Okay, cool. I think that was perfect. So just like before, the context was really amazing, and it makes sense that I followed the market. So there was good momentum on all of this, and this 1 minute entry was, in my opinion, perfect. Perfect entry. Okay, and that deserves a perfect. Boom. All right. Actually, it's a 1 minute entry. Good entry, perfect management, overall perfect trade, and it was the right decision to take it. Okay, good stuff. So that concludes Wednesday. So the reflection here is that I followed EU and EG. EU was the stronger out of the two, so I ended up trading that, and I traded with confidence and I executed perfectly. Very happy with my performance. Great. Yeah, I mean, just looking at this, I think it was great. Um, I should have probably taken this EU trade over here, and I didn't. So that's a little bit of a mistake, but overall, I'm happy with it. Okay, and in comes Thursday. I didn't trade anything on Friday, so Thursday is going to be the last day, and there's like 4 trades that I did not take, and then when I woke up, I took a few more. So let's start over here. So Euro USD, right? Same market. Let's just take a look at what happened on the 1 hour. So here we were breaking out, right? That's over here. And we had a nice, beautiful momentum cycle that pulls back into the rising 1020 for an MMB and then continues higher. Perfect context. Beautiful. That's exactly where I want to trade. Here we are on the 6 minute. So this is the break higher confirming confirming an MMB, right? This is probably MMB1. And here we start chopping a little bit, so I'm not really looking for anything. Like, I am stalking the market at this point, but it's all choppy. There's no real, like, one-sided momentum, but then all of a sudden, still above the EMAs and everything, above the rising EMAs, big momentum comes in. Let's see how that looks like on the 1 minute. So here we have a stage one, breaks into a new range, but creates another stage one, and then boom, big momentum, pulls back into the rising 1020. Let's take a look how this looked on the 10 seconds. That looked amazing. I mean, this stage two is beautiful, like absolutely one-sided. Of course, I want to trade that. So here it starts pulling back, right? And here it creates MB1, MB2. I was looking to buy stop this. I had a buy stop ready, but then it falls down. But it creates a higher low over here. So if I get another DMB over here, I will be happy to trade it. And sure enough, I mean, we have MB1 over here. And we have MB2 over here. Boom. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful entry. And I would have taken that any time of the day. Rising EMAs, everything is nice. Nice little reaccumulation. We can also see that we broke into a new high over here. So that adds even more confluence to my trade. Yeah, this was beautiful. So let me just see how that played out. So I started my session way later today, so I missed this. Okay, I get tapped in. This is where I would reduce my risk. I mean, at this point, it's clean as day or clear as day that there's strength in my direction. And as it goes a little bit lower and breaks that newly formed high, that's where I go completely risk-free. And that runs very quickly to +5. So I think this trade was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So context, I mean, great context. Or good context here. Good momentum over here. Good momentum over here. And perfect entry over here. So overall, this trade deserves a perfect. Beautiful. Perfect. And yeah, I should have taken it, of course. So here, why didn't take? I wasn't trading at the time, so it's not a mistake that I didn't take it because I simply wasn't able to. So, boop, boop. Oh, I actually see that I don't have an option here for that. Uh, I can't really fill that out. I don't know. How do I do this? I'll have to rethink this. I have to come up maybe with even more of an elegant solution. But yeah, whatever. All yellow over here. Entry. Perfect. Okay. Cool. Moving on, I continue following EU, I believe. So what happens over here? Let's look at the 6 minute. So we have this whole MB over here, right? This is the previous trade. And here it starts going higher. It pulls back to the rising 1020 once again. So here I'm looking at this stage 2 over here. It's a little bit weaker. A little bit. Like, I don't like this one especially. Like, it broke below the EMAs and stuff. So maybe there is an argument to be made that this was supposed to disqualify me from trading it, but still, I guess I thought this is looking strong enough. If I take a look here, what do we have? We have MMB1 and MMB2, so by no means is this overextended. So makes sense that I traded it. Well, I backtested it. I didn't actually trade it. So this would be MB1 and this would be MB2. That looks pretty proportional. So The only thing that I don't like is really this dip over here, but yeah, I mean, I think it's all right. I'm I'm gonna call it good, not gonna call it perfect. But anyway, that taps me in and it instantly fucks me up. So overall, the context is exactly the same, which is beautiful, amazing context, right? Or well, the entire story. I mean, if context is the highest time frame, the story leading up to this trade is beautiful. But here, I'm gonna say this is a good entry, and the reason for that is simply it's not perfect because the stage two could be seen as weak, maybe a bit weak. Right. So overall, I'm gonna call this trade good. So there we go. I didn't take it, but I should have taken it for sure. And yeah, good context, good momentum, good momentum. 10-second questionable entry because because weak. And management wise, there was nothing to do, so that was perfect. So yeah, all right. Moving on, we got some GR30 trades. So at this point, I guess EU I no longer trade. So let's check out what we have. That's a new asset. So let's see the context here. So I know that GR30 in general is very, very bullish on the daily and all the higher time frames. There was some kind of stage one happening here, like lots of chop, and there was a big demand zone that was holding it up, and then it broke down. So instantly, I assume reaccumulation, right? I mean, it was okay to short it here a little bit, but overall, I assume reaccumulation. So as this comes down and it starts going up, I'm looking for some kind of sideways, which happens over here. And as we break out of it on big momentum, that's when I'm looking to get involved again. And sure enough, I mean, big momentum shows up, right? So let's take a look how that looks. So here we have some kind of stage one, breaks higher and then loses it again, goes into chop, not interested. And only after it breaks above this high, I actually start following. So let's take a look how that looks on the 1 minute. So here, I remember I already started watching here, but nothing quite set up. And here it went even higher, uh, pulled back into the rising 1020. And here we have this reaccumulation, very choppy. I mean, at this point, I think I was looking for an entry potentially here, but after that failed, I was like, okay, all of this is now stage one. I'm not interested in anything. But here it breaks out on big momentum and it pulls back into the demand zone, which we can see beautifully here on the 1 minute as well. That's pretty much where demand strongly overpowered supply and went higher. And from here, we have a beautiful DMB. Absolutely beautiful. So let me mark that up. So I would say this is MB1 over here, and this is MB2. Okay, MB2 a little bit smaller than MB1, but not too much. I mean, I could even go as far as saying that the MB is actually this, which would make it very proportional. But even if I make it this one, uh, and I look at the entire wave here, at this entire pullback, this is still completely fine. Like this MB2 is all right. And honestly, I think this was a perfect trade. So what happens over here? Let me see. So taps me in, chops around a little bit. Here, this is by no means enough strength for me to break even just yet. But as it breaks into the new high with this big chunky candle, that's when I reduce my risk. And then as it goes higher, at this point, I think, okay, this is very far, and if it comes all the way back, I don't want to have any risk on, so I reduce risk completely. And this goes to +5, and I think there's going to be actually another trade in here a little bit later, but yeah, this was beautiful. What a beautiful trade, man. Love it. So definitely a good context overall. Definitely amazing momentum over here. Amazing momentum over here. And the entry was perfect. Perfect entry. Okay, so overall this trade, there was nothing wrong with it. Deserves a perfect. And I wish I could have traded this day. So unfortunate. But what can you do? Is that a 10-second entry? Yes, it is. Management was perfect as well. So should have taken perfect. Okay, cool. Moving on, we got another trade under 30, and this one happens just a little bit later. So let me see what we have here. So the previous entry was over here. Then we have a strong stage 2, beautiful stage 2, right? Pulls back, starts going sideways. I can clearly draw an accumulation MB over here. Breaks out on big momentum, right? This is the demand reignition, pulls back into rising 1020 and creates a beautiful MB2 over here. This is perfect. Absolutely beautiful. I love this trade so much. So what happens here? Also didn't take because I wasn't trading yet. Yep. After this, I pretty much go risk-free here. Like it's a little bit choppy and like the candles are not as strong. But then it creates this fractal structure where there is, you can see the indicator, the MentaFX premium indicator creates that little line here. That means that there is a candle that has an equal or lower high and breaks above that. So that's for me fractal structure. So at this point, I reduce my risk. And at this point, no, I go completely risk-free. I see, I see. I go completely risk-free at that point. And yeah, not too long later, I get a +5. And there's an argument to be made that there is a trade here as well, because structure-wise on the 10-second, it looks beautiful, right? But actually at that point, the 1 minute was already overextended. I think it was like MMB4 or maybe MMB5. I'm not sure. And that's just too much. So I didn't take that, but there was a valid entry here as well. So yeah, overall, beautiful. Beautiful. So boop, boop, boop. I mean, I can just copy all of this because it's perfect. Boom. Perfect trade. Nice. So let me label that up. Okay. So overall should have taken perfect. Nice. And yeah, that's all. Moving on. Yeah, at this point I woke up, right? After all of this happened, after 3 wins, I woke up and I took a few more trades because why wouldn't I? I followed the market, right? So the next trade is on NAS 100. So let's take a look at it. So that's again, that's a new asset. So let's talk quickly about the context here. So what happens overall, just like J30, I'm very bullish on NAS 100. The even higher time frames like the 4-hour daily and so on, I know they're bullish. But here we had some kind of flush, right? And here, what happens? There is stage 2, pulls back, creates some kind of stage 1 over here, and a new stage 2 breaking above here, confirming direction for me, right? This is looking very, very strong. So let's take a look what we have over here. So on the 6 minute, I mean, there is this MB, right? This MB over here, that's this MB. So there is some kind of stage 1 over here, and we break higher. We have MMB1, goes higher, MMB2. Just looking at this, I mean, it's strong, it's looking good, but it's a little bit wicky. Like, you can see that there is some, it's not as one-sided as, let's say, stuff over here and here. You know, like the more wiki it is, the more supply in the market is, the more people are selling into it, and it's not as one-sided. But I think this still qualified as very, very good. So overall, MMB1, MMB2, right? And we pull back into the rising 1020, looking pretty nice. So here, what do we have? I mean, I take a look at this stage 2. Honestly, this stage 2 is a little bit weak. It's a little bit weak. It could definitely be stronger. And do I have any comments here in regards to this trade? Preceding stage 2 looks a bit weak here, yes, indeed. And yeah, I think what probably happened here is I checked all the previous trades that were available to me, and I saw that I missed out on some wins, and maybe that emotionally affected me a little bit, and because of that, I FOMO'd into something I wasn't supposed to. So yeah, I mean, this stage 2 is just not strong enough, not as good as I would want to see. It's still all right, but it's definitely not perfect. And the entry itself, I mean, The entry is all right, I guess. I mean, this is probably some kind of sign of strength. On a slightly different adjacent time frame, this is just going to be a wick. So all of this is one big MB. All of this is one big MB, and this is MB2. And that's kind of proportional. That's not bad at all. I mean, that looks decent. I don't mind the entry itself. And what happens over here in terms of management, it taps me in, starts chopping around a little bit, and then loses its momentum cycle. And at this point, I set my TP to 0, and I hope that I can get out. And yep, then it pumps higher. Did I actually take this trade or did I not? Oh, I didn't take it. That's right. I didn't. Okay, okay. I didn't take. I see. I see. Good, good. Because I thought I did take it, and I was a little bit disappointed, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like taking this stage 2 is probably not the best. And yeah, I'm glad I didn't take it because I wasn't supposed to. This stage 2 sucked ass. The entry was not as bad, like in terms of the DMB itself, that was alright. But actually, there was one more thing. Well, I didn't take this, but this was news, and I didn't check news at all today. Very bad boy. Yeah, so that's also probably why I included the check news first thing in the morning here, because I was considering entering this trade, but it was a few minutes before red news. So if I had taken the trade, I would have risked getting completely liquidated and losing my account, right? If it was on a real account. So that was actually a big mistake, and I immediately wrote this for myself so that I have it on my eyes first thing in the morning all the time. So yeah, that was actually a lot wrong with this trade. Well, not a lot, but quite a bit. So let's go and label it up. I mean, the context, I believe, was very good. The momentum here was very good, but this wasn't very good. So, boop, let's do this. And something to pay attention to is, right, I mean, the 1 minute over here, if I look at the 1 minute and I see that this is not as strong as I would want it to be, it's always good to also look how this looks like on the other time frame. And on the 6 minute over here, this is the same move, right? So what can I learn here? Like if I know that this was weak, how does that show on the 6 minute? And I think the thing to pay attention to here are the wicks. It's just very, very wicky. And it's moving higher, not in this fashion of ICI, like impulse, little correction impulse, but instead it's moving in this way, right? Where it's like chopping higher. And although it's chopping higher on a decent aggressive angle, it doesn't change the fact that it's chopping. So I'm definitely going to call this choppy. And here, well, I'm not going to call this good momentum, actually. I'm going to call this weak. Weak and choppy. That's right. So same here on the 1 minute. Weak and choppy. And yeah, that's why I'm going to call this a mistake. It's a mistake. And I didn't take this. Was a mistake. I should not have taken it. So the decision was not taking it was the right decision. All right. Cool. 60 minutes was good context. And ooh, all the way from 6 minutes, it was already questionable because weak. Do I also have choppy? Yes. 1 minute, questionable, also weak, choppy, wiki. I'm also going to include wiki here. I don't have that yet. Okay, and I think this was actually a 1 minute entry, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna, you know what? I want to have this first. So 1 minute ugly entry and ugly Y because it's weak, choppy, wiki. That's right. Okay, so overall this is a mistake and it's a mistake. Why? Weak, wiki, choppy. All of this stuff. So wiki is red. Choppy was already here. Okay, cool. So that is that. And management wise, yeah, there was nothing to do. Cool. So that's that. And last trade of that day is once again on JER30. So let's just quickly see what has changed. Previously, we were on JER30 over here. We broke above this, so we were around this level. We can even see the trade over here, so that was the winning trade. And then it pulls back into the rising 1020, and looks like it creates a stage 1 here on the 1 minute. That's exactly what we want to see. So this stage 2, oh my goodness, man, it's like day and night difference. Like compare this stage 2 versus this stage 2, or this stage 2, right? This stage 2 versus this stage 2, very different. Like the way this moves is I see, I see, I see, and it creates a lot of inefficiency, right? Like it doesn't come back. Like yes, here it was nice, and I think I was looking for a trade here probably, but all of this became ugly as fuck. So ugly. And that's also on the 6 minute we can see this is where it created inefficiency, and it made sense to look for an entry here. But after that there was no inefficiency created. Yeah, a little bit over here, but that's nothing. So yeah, makes sense to follow this because this stage 2 is amazing. So if it goes to reaccumulate, of course, I want to trade it. And here, it reaccumulates, comes back, little stage 1 over here, demand reignition, pulls back to the rising 1020. This entry was beautiful, in my opinion. I shuffled the time frame a little bit, so I went to the 2 minute instead of the 1 minute, just to see it a little bit more compressed because it was quite wide, but it's exactly the same type of price action, so it doesn't matter. And on the 2 minute, it looks really, really nice. And how did I manage this? So yeah, I shuffled the time frames a little bit. 2 minute is beautiful. Here it taps me in, and I look at the 10 second, right, to decide what to do. And here it loses its momentum cycle, and I don't want to be there at that point. And yeah, it comes back and taps me out at break even. Also, like it tapped me in over here, right, and it started going sideways for way too long. I don't like that. That's why I set my TP to 0. So that was most definitely the right decision. So overall, I mean, the context was great. Context was amazing. So good context. Blah, Jesus. Amazing momentum, and I would say this was a perfect entry, which overall makes this perfect. Boom. So I think it was a 1 minute entry. Yep. Good. And that makes this perfect. Yes. Okay. And I think that's all, right? I think that's all. There was one little thingy with management. Was it another day? Management. Yeah, here. I had BE from below, but I also need to attack perfect. Okay. Yep. Okay. So the reflection of Thursday, woke up late, started my session at 12, missed out on 3 beautiful wins because of that, took 2 more trades afterwards and executed perfectly. Yep. So overall, very, very happy. And then Friday comes along, garbage price action all around, and no trades taken. And I also have the weekend here just in case I take some crypto trades, which I might because honestly, crypto is in amazing context right now. Especially Ethereum is finally moving, which is great because taking a look at Ethereum over here, let's say on the 1 day or something. Wow, this is very big. But yeah, Ethereum finally looking good. So with that being said, there might be some altcoin action, so I'm definitely watching. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll fill in something later. So that is all. That is all. So let's take a look at how I performed overall. So my week overall was just 4 trades, 4 break evens, 3 on August 6th on Wednesday, and 1 on Thursday, I believe. And had I traded perfectly, that means had I taken all those trades that I was supposed to, my results would be no way. No way would it be 22. No. Oh, okay. This is week 31. This was week 32, if I'm not mistaken, right? I mean, weekly analysis, yeah, it's week 32. Boop. Okay. Had I traded perfectly, it would be 12.2. That's quite a big difference, which sucks a little bit, but what can you do? So let me just write that down. So let's do this section. No. Just this. Okay. So results are minus 0.8, 4 times 0.2 for commissions, and results after filtering mistakes, or well, results had I traded perfectly, are plus 12.2. Okay. Not after filtering mistakes, but results had I traded perfectly. All right. So yeah, big difference. Very unfortunate. Basically just missed those 3 wins, but it is what it is. Anyway, what went well? I think I followed momentum amazingly well. I managed perfectly, and I stick to rules perfectly. I think there was just one tiny little mistake somewhere over here. One mistake. Was this one? Oh, it wasn't actually a mistake because I didn't take it. But the mistake was here. I was supposed to take this trade, but I didn't take it. So yeah, that was the only mistake. Uh, so what do I do about that? Can I just do this? So what went bad? Yeah, what went bad was uh, didn't trade one time. No. Didn't take one trade I was supposed to take. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do enter, enter, enter here, and I'm going to add it over here so I can see it. So I was supposed to take this one. But overall, I am very happy with how I performed and followed rules perfectly. That's what I'm going to say. Because all the other trades, the ones that I took, I followed amazing momentum. I was very patient and I executed perfectly and I managed perfectly. And I remember, even based on all of these reflections that I have here, that I acted very confidently. I'm at the point where I already know very well what I'm doing. Still, there are sometimes some gray area trades where I'm not exactly sure, but when I'm not sure, I just don't take it, but I document it. I did that twice, and one of those trades I should have taken, the other one I was not supposed to take, and that's okay. Those are my lessons for the week. I can look at them and draw some conclusions, but overall, I am very, very happy with how this went. And as I said in the very beginning, I'm not going to evaluate myself based on the results. So yeah, I missed out on 12R because I didn't trade trades that I was supposed to, but I wasn't awake, so big deal. But I'm going to evaluate myself on how I followed rules, and I did that amazingly well. I'm actually really proud of myself. So that was nice. So with all that being said, what do I want to focus on next week? So next week, actually, nothing, because I'm not going to be trading next week. I'm going to be AFK all week. I have surgery coming up on Monday, so I'm going to be hospitalized for the entire week. I'm going to miss out on the markets. So there's going to be absolutely nothing to do for me here. And hopefully I will be available, or hopefully I will be able to trade the week after. We'll see how recovery goes and all of that. So yeah, nothing to really focus on next week. Thinking if there is anything else that I want to do. If I go into week 32 here and I check if there were any like mistakes. So it's a questionable entry. Okay. What else was here? Just checking. Weak wiki choppy. I did not take this one though. Okay, I would say there wasn't any big mistake here, so I'm not even going to tag anything. That's very nice. So overall, a very good week in terms of following my rules. Okay. So I'm going to copy this stuff. What went bad? And are there any lessons here? I think the only thing I would say is to try and ensure that my sleep is good so that I can trade when I want to trade. Uh, ensure good sleep so I don't miss out on good trades. But yeah, that's the only thing I would say. Yep, I think that's all. Great week overall. I mean, what I can do is just going quickly over my C's and V's and everything, uh, just so I can see. I mean, all of this is pretty much going to be perfect, so I can just. I do this many times throughout the week. I just go through my data and I drill this into my head to see what kind of stuff I'm supposed to trade, especially with the perfect trades. Of course, I go over mistakes as well to see what I need to avoid and stuff. But in general, like I really love how I was trading. And you can see how these trades are developing as well. Like you have the stage one breakout, pulling back into the first MMB, right? Then it starts moving higher. And as it's still above the rising EMAs, the momentum cycle is delivering. I'm still looking to follow it, and I'm following it, and it's delivering, and it's beautiful. You can see that when things get choppy, I don't touch them, which is very nice. And I only touch it when it's not overextended and momentum actually comes in and the market becomes very one-sided. Every time I trade, there is big momentum on my side. Well, this trade I did not take because it was actually a little bit choppy. So just take a look. Like in the past, I would 100% trade this, and I would never ever call it wrong. I would have no idea how to determine whether something is weak or not in this sense. But through repetition and experience, I can see and I can now understand that this is actually not the type of momentum I want to follow because even though, yes, it's moving higher, it's doing it in a very weird, choppy way. Beautiful. So nice. And my entries are really nice as well. Yeah, I mean, momentum following at its finest, really. The reaccumulations that I'm trading are perfect as well. So good. Like, when I'm looking at these trades, they are like, they're all the same, pretty much. They look like copy pasting the same shit over and over with like slight variance, of course, because no trade is ever going to be the same. But in general, they all follow the exact same price action principles, and I'm getting involved exactly in the way that I want to. Not only am I following rules well, it also all makes complete conceptual sense to me. So yeah, beautiful. So happy with week 32. Okay, as always, if any of this sparks some thoughts in you, do let me know. Shoot me a DM, tag me in Trade Talk, whatever it is. I'm always happy to talk about trading. And I wish you guys a nice weekend and also good luck next week. I hope you milk the markets, and I will see you in 2 weeks. All right, peace.